tonight he is in the Twitter trends. The health minister, Kweku Agyemang has initiated moves to retrieve the excess money that was paid to businessman Sheikh Al Maktoum, who acted as middleman in the procurement of 300,000 Sputnik V vaccines for the country. The ad hoc parliamentary committee that probed this controversial procurement established that more than 16 million Ghana cedis was paid to the businessman, that's representing 50% of the total contract sum. This despite the fact that he failed to deliver the exact amount of doses expected per the contract. The committee then recommended that the finance minister take steps to retrieve the money. But Joy News has cited a letter written by the Minister of Health demanding a refund from Sheikh Al Maktoum. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, joins us via Zoom with details of this letter. Fred, first of all, when is this letter dated? Hello, Fred, if you can hear me, first tell us when this letter is dated and what the details are, as the finance minister, we understand, has taken steps to retrieve the monies from Sheikh Al Maktoum. And so even as Fred unmutes his device, we'll get you the latest on this, because there have been some more calls for the health minister to resign. And Kwabena Mintah Kando is the ranking member on the health committee in Parliament. He joins us also via phone. Mr. Kando, thank you very much for your time here on Joy News Prime. First of all, you recommended the retrieval of the monies, albeit by the finance minister. The health minister today has moved in that regard to retrieve the money. Your reaction to that?
Well, I must be very careful commenting on such issues, not until I have clear evidence to that effect. I have not seen any letter to that effect. So I'll be very careful, because this is the same person who appeared before the committee and told us that no money has been paid, and subsequently we found out that whooping sum of 16.330640 had been paid. And so for me, I'll be very careful to comment on such issues.
Very well. We trust our sources on this, but assuming, and you can proceed safely with this assumption, that indeed this letter was written by the health minister, would you say this should suffice as far as the recommendations you gave is concerned?
There are a lot. I think this should be the first phase of it. The state must get the money back. That should be the first phase of it. But let me try to create an analogy to the effect that if, excuse my language, a thief steals something and he brings it back, that doesn't mean he didn't steal. That doesn't mean there are a lot more questions to be answered, especially with regard to the minister responsible for finance. We had established that the contract didn't go through Parliament, so Article 1815 of the Sentence Constitution was not fulfilled. Procurement breaches and a lot more procurement breaches and a lot more breaches were established. So upon what basis did the minister responsible for finance pay that particular amount of money? Because the minister also clearly admitted that the contract didn't go through cabinet. So there are a lot more questions to be answered. I must be very honest with you.
And I want you to hold the line for me, Mr. Kando. Let us go back to the details of the letter as we have it. The head of our health desk, Fred Smith, joins us via Zoom. We can proceed with that after. Fred, what are the details of this letter? Well, we seem not to have Fred. Fred, if you can unmute your device. Well, Fred, tell us what the details are. We know the health minister has written to Sheikh Al Maktoum. He is demanding a refund. Does he state, for instance, specifically how much he's expecting him to refund to him or to the government of Ghana?
Well, thank you, Ernest. It's dated the 2nd of August 2021, and it's addressed to His Highness Sheikh Ahmed Damok Al Maktoum. He's a member of the ruling family of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, and it's titled Refund to the Government of Ghana of the balance of payment for 300,000 doses of Sputnik V vaccines, and which was supplied. And it reads, I wish to formally accept your termination of our agreement dated the 9th of March 2021 for the supply of Sputnik V vaccine as per your letter number, and it quotes the letter number dated the 14th of July 2021, By this letter, I also wish to formally request for the refund of the remaining amount for the non-supplied doses, which should be the total amount paid to your office minus the amount due for 20,000 doses you already supplied, in line with your earlier email dated the 25th of July 2021, Ernest, and in which it was affirmed that on the 13th of April 2021, funds were transferred into your account as 50% advance for the initial batch of 300,000 doses. Now, this request for refund is in line with clause 8.2 of the agreement, which states that any termination of this agreement which shall be by notice in writing to the other party shall not affect any rights, remedies, obligations, or liabilities of the parties that have accrued up to the date of the termination. It would be very much appreciated if the amount is transferred back into the sending bank account as per the earlier SWIFT advice dated the 9th of April 2021. You may contact and give details of who to contact in case there are issues with the transfer. And this is signed by Kweku Agyeman, the Minister for Health himself.
And so that is head of our health desk, Fred Smith. It was important to bring you details of that letter, so we put the conversation in context. We still have the ranking member of the Health Committee, Kwabena Mintah-Kandor, with us on the phone. You mentioned earlier that the Finance Minister indeed has some questions to answer. Why did the committee not find it prudent at the time you were probing this matter to invite him to answer some questions on the role he played?
Let me put it on record, and for your information, at that time, the committee, in fact, myself, raised the issue of inviting the minister responsible for finance to appear before the committee, and the chairman ruled that instead of inviting the minister, the committee will write to the minister and outline the issues we want him to respond for him to respond. And we wrote to the minister, and the minister also brought his response. So it's not as though we didn't demand anything from the minister responsible for finance. So that is the truth of the matter. Again, the letter you have read is problematic. There are a lot more questions about that. You see, when you proceed on the assumption that the agreement is valid, the contract is valid, that is why you say they should do some deductions and refund some amount of money. But we have a lot of precedents, rulings from Supreme Court that indicate clearly that when an international contract doesn't get parliamentary approval, it is declared null and void, and it's as though that contract has never been executed. In that case, we don't pay anything.
And so your suggestion is that the full amount should be refunded to the state?
So I'm saying that there are a lot of questions around even the letter you are reading. This knee-jerk reaction would not suffice. So for me, let's take our time and unravel the issue one after the other.
But I just want clarity on that. Are you saying that based on the premise you have given us, that the contract in itself is not valid, the health minister will therefore have to refund all the monies involved to the state?
It's a possibility.
What do you intend to do when Parliament resumes on this issue?
I intend to follow this issue to its logical conclusion and ensure that the state is not shortchanged.
Thank you very much. That's the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Mintah-Kandor, joining us on this controversial Sputnik V vaccine procurement. The health minister has taken steps to retrieve the monies. We'll be following this closely. But there are growing calls for the minister to resign or be removed by the president. Martin Pebu is a private legal practitioner.
Mr. Agyeman is now embarrassing us as a country. It's as if he's our best talent for that job. But we all know he's not. You see, that's why maybe it appears he doesn't understand public service. Look, there are 1,001 citizens who can perform that job. The president chose him, but he has taken us down a path that has embarrassed us so much. So he just has to go quietly. But you see that he's digging in his heels. And then you have some of our citizens holding press conferences to support him. It cannot be supported. Let's come to this. Samson, you see, the last time we raised this, we mentioned that, look, money must have been paid because even the agreement for the procurement of the vaccine, clause 4.2, itself says that we're to pay for the vaccine with a site LC. Samson, it says site LC.
Right.
From the little understanding, this site LC means when the goods have been delivered, sometimes even not delivered, it's possible for the person to be paid. That's the exporter, the person who supplied, depending on how the contract is worded. But bottom line is that whether the contractor or the exporter should be paid because the goods have left the country of export, or even in Ghana, once you say site LC, it has certain meanings, okay, that certain documents will be presented. So the argument I'm making is that even without this payment that has first come out, the contract that he signed means that payment was to be made soon after the latest, soon after the 20,000 vaccines were delivered. So on what basis could the minister go to parliament to say that nothing is being paid? Is Al Maktoum Father Christmas? Is Al Maktoum Father Christmas that he'll give you vaccines, 20,000, and not receive payment? So you see that this thing that he hasn't paid, that's why I believe we have to press the issue of perjury very hard, because Agmamenu is not living, and so we have to make the law bite. And in this direction, I'm thinking that I want citizens to join me so that we will present a joint petition to Parliament so that he'll be tried for the perjury in Parliament, okay? Because under the Constitution, if somebody obstructs justice in Parliament, he has to face the law.
Well, the latest to add their voice to the calls for the health minister to resign is Occupy Ghana. They've issued a statement. My colleague Kweku Asante joins me via Zoom with details of that statement. Kweku, first of all, Occupy Ghana expresses shock at the revelations of the committee and also the testimony by the minister himself. Tell us more.
All right. So Occupy Ghana says they are struck that although payments were made under the transaction, the minister said he did not know about it. And then when he testified before the Parliament committee, he was oblivious of a report and a letter that had been sent from the Ministry of Finance affecting payment from the BOG account of the Health Ministry. They say, and I quote, "It is unbelievable that at each of these stages of payment requests, the accompanying supporting document did not include the approvals of the mentioned above. It beggars belief that the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, Controller and Accountant General, and the Bank of Ghana will pay out government monies without seeing or demanding to see any of the stated approvals. It is on the basis of the foregoing that we demand that the health minister resign from office, even if he meant well under emergency circumstances. Those did not justify bypassing our constitutional statutory processes. If the health minister does not resign on his own accord, then we call on the president to relieve him of his post."
But that's not all, Kweku. Beyond the calling on the minister to resign or the president to remove him, they're also asking for a widening of the scope of the probe to cover other government officials who may have played a role in this.
Right, and so according to this Occupy Ghana statement, they believe that there may be a lot more people who are involved in this web of issues that have come up with the Sputnik V. And let me quote again from the statement. They say, "While calling for this resignation, we also believe that the Ghanaians ought to be told which other officials were involved in processing and paying the monies without demanding and seeing the requisite approvals. Those officials ought to be similarly sanctioned. Also, Ghanaians should be told when we expect to receive a full refund of the outstanding amount from the recipient." So they go on to make a lot of legal arguments, which they say buttress their point that the minister had breached a lot of laws and a lot of regulations, for which reasons he must resign, and a lot number of other people who are involved in all this deal must also be sanctioned and prosecuted.
Kweku Asante is my colleague who joins us with details of that statement by Occupy Ghana. Let's go to Twitter now and check out the trends. I told you the health minister is trending #1 with the hashtag Ajiman must go. We'll bring you some of the comments that you have been making on Twitter on this latest development, which is the fact that the health minister has written to Sheikh Al Maktoum. And so the Ministry of Health, this is hashtag JM Bam Marvelous. The Ministry of Health did not seek approval from the board of PPA under sections 40 and 41 of Act 663 before signing the agreement. Hashtag Ajman Menu must go. This one also says whether refund or not, hashtag Ajman Menu must go. Another one here says 16 million Ghana cedis is not a small money. Wate. Hashtag Ajman Menu must go and be prosecuted. So that's another aspect of the conversation. For me, the conversation shouldn't just be about hashtag Ajman Menu must go. We should be asking for prosecution as well. If we can prosecute former officials for reckless conduct in respect of our finances, then same should apply here. And so Dalton also writes and says, a whole trend, I need a brief on this issue, hashtag Ajman Menu must go. The Democrat says there's no other reasonable explanation to the minister's ill-motivated procurement of vaccines than theft, loot, and share. Hashtag Ajman Menu must go. One more here, Big Daddy C, hashtag Ajman Menu must go. Over $2.850 million vaccines money is missing again under this NPP government. How can a whole health minister lie to Ghanaians? Please, Akufo-Addo, enough is enough. Bring back your share of the vaccine. Well, we cannot proceed with those allegations, but that is what some of you have been saying. The conversation is on social media, and of course, we will follow through to see what happens. Now, let's do some news on COVID-19. From Tuesday, you could face arrest and possible fine or prosecution if you fail to observe the COVID-19 protocols here in the capital, Accra. The region has emerged as the major hotspot as the third wave of infections followed by the deadly Delta variant spread across some parts of the country. Let's take a look at the statistics now as it is looking. And so we have 108,226. That's the total number of confirmed cases. Recovery 100,383. The active cases, these are people with COVID-19 as we speak, 6,969. 874 deaths. That is huge. And severe cases 87, critical cases 36. And so you must be aware COVID-19 is still alive, and that is the the breakdown for you in terms of the vaccines. Total vaccine doses 1,271,393. For the first dose only 865,422, and first and second doses 405,971. And so these are the figures for people who have been vaccinated. We know that we have received more vaccines, which is Johnson & Johnson, and that will be rolled out shortly. So in the figures you just saw, the Greater Accra region has the highest number of infections rate, followed by the Ashanti region. And to ensure adherence to the COVID-19 protocols here in the capital, the Regional Security Council and the Regional Public Health Emergency Management Committee, in collaboration with the Regional Police Command and also the Regional Health Directorate of the Ghana Health Service, have given a number of directives. And it's one of the first directives says there should be mandatory adherence to all COVID-19 safety protocols at all events, at all times, and in any public place and space in the region. All security councils in the various assemblies should embark on routine checks at public places, that is schools, lorry stations, markets, especially in churches, to ensure that there is strict compliance. If you're boarding your church, you should know that you must be in your marks. All metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies should collaborate with their respective police commanders and other security apparatus in ensuring that all activities associated with funerals are held in open-air spaces, and it should not exceed a duration of 2 hours. D says all metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies should, with immediate effect, reactivate their district police health emergency management committees in the fight against the pandemic. And E, all metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies should, as a matter of urgency, start their sensitization programs on COVID-19 and its safety protocols as a wake-up call for all. F, MMDAs should also ensure that individuals or group of persons who breach these protocols are arrested, fined or prosecuted according to the law to serve as a deterrent to others. The Regional Coordinating Council would continue to play its supervisory role with random spot checks on all these public bans. And so notice has been served. You make sure. It says, however, we appeal to our revered traditional political, religious and opinion leaders to be at the forefront of this drive and campaign in order to curtail the steep increases of COVID-19 cases in the region.